All right, everyone, welcome back in. It's another episode of Bleav in Vikings. It's a BMac Monday and a Victory Monday here on Bleav in Vikings, as the Vikings are victorious in their season opener against the New York Giants. Obviously, it's a Monday, so BMac is here. So he and I are going to react to this thing together, and then we'll start to sort of take a peek ahead to the Vikings' next game, which is a home game against the San Francisco 49ers. That's their home opener, week 2 at US Bank Stadium. Vikings and San Francisco 49ers, but the 49ers haven't even played yet. So we'll get to watch them play the Jets on Monday night, and then we'll start getting ready for Vikings 49ers. Before we bring BMac in, Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. Bet Online has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to their online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of their over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet Online. The game starts here. BMac, Vikings, they look pretty good, man.
They actually did. I was impressed.
I was too. I had a lot of time to think about how are BMac and I going to talk about this game, because last night I had a flight to Indianapolis, which is where I'm at right now, on some other business, and I just kept thinking, in the NFL, it's so hard to win, right? And like, even if you play a team that's terrible, or the team you played was just terrible, you never apologize for a win. I mean, it's going to take 10, 11, 12 to get into the playoffs. It just doesn't matter who you can only play who's on your schedule.
I've never in my life thought about apologizing for winning anything.
Right. Never. It's hard to win, man. And when you get them, you celebrate them,
Right. Everybody else going to celebrate, so why would you?
Mm-hmm.
Our coach always tell you have 48 hours to celebrate, and then we have to move on to the next team. So
yeah,
they're still in their 48 hours.
Yep, and enjoy it. And it's like, the Giants may end up having a good season. I don't think they look very good, BMac. I think the Giants are.
A lot of things they need to clean up. So
yeah,
I don't know how this is going to go.
But even still, even when you play a team that you're much better than, you typically, it's a competitive game. You typically don't like dismantle another team in the NFL. It's just the parity's too good. I mean, the Vikings, like, they dismantled the Giants. I mean, everything went their way, I would say. I don't even know where do you start? Were you impressed with them up front? I mean, obviously Sam Darnold looked great. Maybe you give a lot of credit to Kevin O'Connell for constructing this thing in a way that Sam Darnold would look good, but where do you start? If you were to describe the game to someone who didn't watch it, what looked good in your eyes when you watched them against the Giants?
I do feel like we're going to start with the quarterback. I do feel like he felt comfortable in the pocket and passing, and he never look flustered. So I feel like by him having time and feeling confident there, that helps him be able to make some good decisions. A lot of guys stepped up and made some big plays. Justin Jefferson, of course, is going to make some big plays. Jalen Naylor came in, made a play and a touchdown.
Yep. Defense
scored on an interception. So everybody kind of did their part in this victory.
Yeah. I thought Sam Darnold, he started 12 of 12. So, you're blocking for a quarterback who starts 12 of 12. I mean, everyone's starting to feel good, right? And I think he took a sack on his first attempt, but after that, I think he was clean in the pocket. He looked comfortable. You start 12 of 12 for 150 some yards, man. I mean, dang.
Well, once you start getting into a rhythm, and I'm pretty sure he knows that what he's throwing is connecting to people, you start to feel good. You start to feel confident, so that becomes a mindset, basically. And he just had put in his mind, hey, I can go out here and I can pick them apart. And you could just tell, you can see the confidence. He wasn't getting rattled or anything like that. It was like he's going out here and he's really driving down the field, and he felt good about it.
Yeah. And I mean, that sack that was on his first drop back, that was the only sack the Vikings offensive line gave up. The only sack Darnold took all game was that one sack. And then the Vikings.
I didn't see that. I must have tuned in late. I didn't see that one, but then from there on, I watched the rest of the game. So I must have missed the sack. So I can't really speak on it because sometimes they'll just credit the offensive line as giving up a sack when it was probably a running back who missed a block too. So I don't know, but I missed that one. So
yeah, it was Dexter Lawrence. So that pressure came from the middle on that, and
okay.
It was the first play of the game for the Vikings was an Aaron Jones run up the middle for 1 yard. And then the second play was a sack. So it was 3rd and 16 after that. And then that's when CJ Ham fumbled BMac. And then the Giants got the ball at the Vikings 20. Vikings defense responded by forcing a field goal. So you get a sudden change like that as an offense, you get the ball on the other team's 20. I mean, you're thinking touchdown. Like sudden change. We're out there on the field, short field. We got to score a touchdown.
20. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you always try to figure like on the turnover, you usually want to get points on the board, but definitely on the 20, I would definitely feel like I would have got a touchdown.
Yep.
So, yeah. So the defense definitely stepped up and raised their level up and not allowed them to go in.
Yep. So yeah, that sack on the first drop back was the only one the Vikings gave up all game. And then they rushed for 4.3 yards per carry. But some of those were, there was a 3-yard loss late in the game, and Sam Darnold had 3 carries for 3 yards. So if you just look at the running backs, Aaron Jones, 14 carries, 94 yards, and a rushing touchdown. So only 1 sack allowed, and you get Aaron Jones up to 94 yards rushing on only 13 or 14 carries, and he had a touchdown. I thought a really good day for the Vikings offensive line. I don't sit there and grade them. I know Pro Football Focus does that. Obviously, the Vikings coaches will do that. I can't imagine any of them got that poor of a grade with stats like that.
Yeah, I mean, just early, set up with the sack. But other than that, yeah, they kind of came together and had a great day. To me, from everything I see, I feel like the offensive line was doing great.
Yep. Yeah, they did great. And then I thought, too, you look at Justin Jefferson's his day, he scored a touchdown, and his touchdown, BMac, came on a 4th and 3 from the 2-yard line. No, 4th and 2 from the 3-yard line. And then it was a 3-yard touchdown strike from Darnold to Jefferson. So Jefferson's touchdown was in a clutch moment on a 4th down.
Yeah.
He had 4 catches for 59 yards. Now, that's not a typical Justin Jefferson game, but that's kind of good because the Vikings score 21 points on offense, 28 for the game, win handily, and they only targeted Jefferson 6 times. So kind of a good sign that you can win a game that way without relying too much on your main target,
Yeah, but you also still want to make him more of a target too,
Yeah, and maybe that will come. I think part of it is, you get out to a big lead like the Vikings did, and you're trying not to put Sam Darnold on, 35 dropbacks because that's a way to let the Giants back in the game. So I think they.
Oh yeah, and then you also you kind of want to run the ball a little bit more too once you're up, and especially on the roads, to run the clock out because we're winning. Yeah. Normally, when you're behind, it becomes a passing thing to just get down the field as fast as you can to try to score a touchdown.
Yeah, for sure. 26 rushing attempts for the Vikings on the day, only 24 passing attempts. So 2 more attempts rushing than you had passing. That's going to be a good sign. A couple of blemishes.
That's not a lot of plays.
No. I mean, typically, what do you expect? 60, 70 plays?
We averaged 60-something plays. They only played 40 plays. Okay, so the defense was on the field a lot.
Yep. The defense was on the field a lot, but they played well. I mean, they responded. Daniel Jones had 42 pass attempts. The Giants had 21 rushing attempts. So 63 snaps on defense for the Vikings. Several standouts. One of them, a former Miami Dolphin, Andrew Van Ginkel. Not a household name, BMac, Andrew Van Ginkel yet. But if he keeps playing like that, he's going to be. He had a pick 6.
Well, he's the one. I was tuned in, and he's the one who got the interception and ran it back for a touchdown.
Yeah,
I definitely see that play by him. That was in the what was that? He had the last touchdown.
Yeah. I think it might have been end of the 3rd, but second half, and it was one of those rushes where the edge rusher senses he's not going to get home because it's a quick pass, so he stopped his rush and then was focused on getting in the passing lanes. You know, I have to imagine when you as an offensive lineman see someone do that, you're probably
push them
right at them.
You can, because you can read that they're trying to read the play, so you read it. You just try to go at them and just knock them down and push them because you know they're about to jump soon.
Yeah. Well, the Giants' right tackle, Illuminor, was not able to do that. Andrew Van Ginkel snagged it and returned it 10 yards for a touchdown. So, when you rush the ball the way the Vikings did and you score on defense, I mean, you're going to win. You're going to win the game more times than not. So really a good all-around performance. And then Dallas Turner, the rookie edge rusher, also got a sack. So here's one thing I wanted to talk about with you. When you just think about like technique and talent level, all that matters. But just like, does the player have it, whatever it is he a playmaker? Dallas Turner played at Alabama and was a stud, 17th overall pick, first round pick. In his first preseason game, had a sack, and now in his first regular season game has a sack. That to me is like I know he's talented. I know we took him early, but like he's showing up when the lights come on. Not every player can do that,
And that's good. To me, that's what it's about, is when the lights come on and showing up. Because a lot of people are great practice players, or a lot of people have potential. But he's going out here making it happen. So hopefully he can just consistently just keep doing it throughout the year.
Yeah. Have you been in a situation like the Vikings offensive line in preparing for this game against the Giants? They got Dexter Lawrence, they got Brian Burns, they got Kayvon Thibodeau, they got all these guys. How can you handle them? And you're sitting there and you're like, oh, they're only talking about them. They're not talking about us. Then you go out and dominate. That happened to us. It feels so good.
2009 playoffs against Dallas Cowboys when they had DeMarcus Ware and Chris Canty and Marcus Spears and they had a great defensive front, and all week long they talked about them, and it was like, okay guys, let's go out here and get some respect put on our name, because they clearly only talk about their defensive front and they're not like acknowledging like that we're good. So
yeah,
we went out there and handled business. So I definitely know what that feels like, and those guys stepped up to the challenge. So I really appreciate that.
I think that game was about as loud as I've ever heard the Metrodome, that Cowboys playoff game in 2009.
Oh, yeah.
That was so loud.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Because the defense was playing fast, sacking Tony Romo, Ray Edwards, and Jared were getting in there all the time. Sidney Rice, they just couldn't guard Sidney that game. And you guys, I mean, you kept Favre clean. That was so loud that day at the Metrodome.
I wouldn't know because, it was loud on defense, so I probably wasn't really paying attention. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah. They quiet down on offense. Did you?
Right.
Any road games for you in the Metrodome? Yeah. For Baltimore?
Wait, say it again?
Did you play any road games in the Metrodome?
No.
You never did for Baltimore or Miami?
No.
That would have been weird.
I never played against the Vikings.
Okay. That would have been weird,
I was close to playing against the Vikings with the Ravens, but I ended up getting traded to the Dolphins. So they came after I left.
Okay.
And I was looking forward to it, but it would have been in Baltimore. So I never came back there to play.
You guys would have been fine, though, because you would have had Burke, Flacco. I mean, you guys would have been fine in that noise. You guys were so smooth and veterans, but there are some teams that came in there, man.
No, it was the year after Burke had left. So I had came back the year after.
Oh, okay.
Retired and everything. So
Who was the new center? Ben Grubbs? Did he play center?
No, Ben Grubbs was a guard. He played next to me. Ben Grubbs was going by then too. I don't even remember who the center was. Oh, Gino Gronkowski.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So now, if you're the Vikings, you fly home from New York following a victory, which feels great. The team that you're going to play hasn't played yet, right? So the coaches, that probably causes them a little bit of strain and
everybody's going to tune in tonight and watch.
Yeah.
So it's almost like players watch games totally different than fans. We watch it like game film. So when I'm watching games, I'm watching the left tackle, I'm watching the offensive line, I'm watching the D line. I kind of zoom into the position I played. And you kind of do that, or you look at the offensive line just to kind of see what play they're running. Like you look at it totally different just because you played it for so long, and you know what I mean.
Yep.
It's just different. Like it's like you're watching game film.
Yeah, it's almost like, you know, when a fan, and this is not a criticism, but fans are watching the game. What they're doing is the ball is snapped. They're watching the quarterback drop back or hand it off to the running back. They're watching the ball only, really. And that's what I mean. What else would you watch, right? If you're just a fan. But to the trained eye, someone like you or maybe a coach, quite often you might keep your eyes in the trenches. You might watch a wide receiver on a switch release against press coverage with another, you know, you might see other or watch other parts of the game that a fan might not watch. The other thing I think is interesting, and I'll always remember this, when we were still at Winter Park, Mike Zimmer was the coach, but we were still at Winter Park. And his son, Adam Zimmer, God rest his soul, who passed away, he would always watch on Fridays, whatever team we were playing, he would watch the TV copy of all their games. And I didn't want to like dig in too much as to why, but I think he was listening to line calls and quarterback cadence on the TV copy, which you obviously can't hear on the film.
Right.
So that's another example of how learned football minds like yourself will watch the game differently. There's a lot of details you can pick up based on how you watch the game, right? Yeah. And that's why, like, when you guys would play another coach who had been with you, sometimes you got to change up your calls, right?
Yeah, because they catch on. They'll realize at a certain point, like in the game, that it's a run, it's a pass. Like listening to communication. So, and maybe like it's a pass. Like you know what I mean. Like if I had D-line communicate with each other, and they'll say Delta, I'm like, it's a flight. Like that means it's a pass. Like you know what I mean. So they're about the pass rush. Like so on both sides, we hear communication, and you just figure out what it is. Like okay, he's about to try to pass rush. So
yeah, interesting. All right, so the Niners, they come to US Bank Stadium in week 2. It's going to be one of the games that people are really like talking about because the Vikings had an upset, or not an upset win, but an impressive win on the road. Sam Darnold looked good. It's a really like sexy looking win, I think. So people are going to be focused on the Vikings. The Niners are one of the favorites in the NFC. They're either going to be coming off a loss to the Jets or they're going to be coming off a win over the Jets. So that's going to be on Monday Night Football. That's going to be something everyone's talking about. So I think Vikings-Niners is going to be a game on the radar next Sunday in the NFL. So the Niners are going to come off a physical game. I mean, the Jets-Niners game is going to be physical, and the Niners are coming off a short week. A couple of angles there that are advantageous for the Vikings, BMac. And I'm not going to sit here and predict a Vikings win on Monday. We haven't even seen the Niners play yet. But be confident, and they're going to play a Niners team that's coming off a physical game on a short week. I mean, there's something there, I think, for the Vikings.
And then they got to travel to Minnesota too, right?
Yeah.
Right, so that takes a little bit out of you too. So, I mean, they have things in their favor. So as long as everybody's like resting, recovering, and just preparing to watch the game tonight to kind of study their opponent, things like that, they have a slight advantage.
Yeah, I think so too. And there's something to be said for gaining confidence after you win, you know, and belief in what the coach is preaching. I know it's just, you know, O'Connell's been there for 3 years now, but there's new players on the roster. There's still got to be some buy-in, you know, and that's another impressive component to this win over the Giants. BMac is, Jefferson is there. He's, you know, a mainstay. The 5 offensive linemen were all on last year's team. I understand that, but there's some new starters, right? I mean, you have Stephon Gilmore, new starter for the Vikings. Shaq Griffin, new starter for the Vikings. Blake Cashman, inside linebacker, new starter. Van Ginkel, new. Grenard, new. Dallas Turner, new. Sam Darnold, new. Aaron Jones, new. So a lot of newness there. To come out looking that good and that smooth with all those new players, I guess that's pretty impressive too, don't you think?
It is. They definitely used training camp and preseason to like really gel and like work together. So just keep it going. But I feel like this game helped build confidence.
For sure. All right. So there's a former 49er who's someone that is, I look back at my time working in the NFL, Frank Gore, like, so impressive. Just the longevity, the production, the toughness. He's a guy you're going to try and run down. And you said, I'm everybody. Like, I get everyone in line. I get them to come on my show. So you're going to try and run Gore down. So if we can get him on the show, that'd be really fun later in the week or maybe after the game. But I would love to get Frank Gore on.
You have to tell me exactly so I can let him know, like, hey, could you come on this day or whatever,
Yeah, for sure. We'll try and get Frank Gore on here. Maybe you and I can record another episode here this week and continue our conversation, Vikings 49ers. I think that's it for today, though. Anything else from the game that stood out to you that we didn't talk about?
No, I was pretty impressed with everybody's play. Aaron Jones with the first touchdown for the Vikings. You had Justin Jefferson, with a 3-yard touchdown pass, and then Jalen Nailor. So, no, I was pretty impressed by those.
The Jalen Nailor one is important because that was right after Jordan Addison got hurt. So, your number 2 threat leaves the game with an ankle injury. Moments later, it's Jalen Nailor who comes in. You know what, though?
And that's how it's supposed to be. Like, one person goes down, so it's like you don't have to feel like, oh, gosh. Like, it's like just step back, step in and fill the void. Like, don't make us feel like we're going down. Like, just go in here and make plays. Like, this is your opportunity.
Exactly. And the other thing, too, is with Jalen Nailor, BMac, he had a great camp and a great preseason. We've seen so many times every year. Oh, this guy's having a great camp. Oh, this guy's having a great preseason. Crickets in the regular season. Never hear from him again, right? And so when you can do that in the preseason and then transfer that to a game right away in week 1, super, super awesome to see.
But that helps him with his confidence as well, too.
Exactly. Totally agree, especially if Nailor's going to be out for a while or Addison's going to be out for a while and Nailor will have to play. So, right. 2 thumbs up for the Vikings. Really good victory for them in week 1 over the New York Giants. One of those rare instances where you're kind of just cruising in the fourth quarter. And then any game when you can sort of not take your foot off the gas, but really lean on the running game and coast to victory that's a good victory. So that's what the Vikings did in week 1. That's what BMac and I thought about it. More to come this week here on Bleav in Vikings. We'll try and get Frank Gore on the show to talk about the San Francisco 49ers and get you all ready for week 2 and the Vikings home opener. On behalf of Bryant McKinnie, BMac, this is Wobby signing off for now. Until next time, everybody, Skol Vikings, and always remember, keep believing.